Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your libertarian car guy. And since it's almost Halloween, I thought I'd break out the Great Pumpkin, which you see before you, my 76 Trans Am. And I thought I would do a walk around and a road test of this car, and just to kind of take a nostalgic look back at the way things used to be in, as Rush put it, a better managed time. So let's do a quick walk around and a road test of the 76 Trans Am. On the outside, this car is mostly stock. I am the second owner of this thing, and believe it or not, this bright orange color is a factory color. It's called Carousel Red, and it's exactly the same paint code that Pontiac used in 1969 on the GTO Judge, and it's one of my personal favorite colors for the second gen Trans Ams. And I think it looks particularly good on this 76. 76 was a transition year for Pontiac. A number of changes occurred that year, including, hand in on these, this is the last year for the Honeycomb Wheel. Now this wheel, it looks like an alloy wheel, it looks like an aluminum wheel, but it's actually a steel wheel with a urethane material injection molded onto the steel inner part of the wheel, so that honeycomb part of it is actually purely cosmetic and serves no functional purpose. It looks great, but it's a heavy wheel, and Pontiac went to the aluminum 15 by 7 inch Snowflake the following year. Some other stuff that's neat about this car, of course, the splitter exhaust. Of course, that's a Trans Am traditional thing, and a lot of Trans Ams have that. This car also has the round headlights. This is the last year for the round headlights. In 77, Pontiac went to the Smokey and the Bandit, Batmobile, those are two names for it, front clip that had the 4 square headlights. So this is the last year for that. And it's also the last year for the big 455 V8, which was optional. The 400 was standard. The 455 would go away after this year, and the biggest engine that you could get in a Trans Am after 76 is the 400, which lasted until 1979. And then for the last 2 years of the Trans Am, second generation Trans Am's production, the only engines that were available were the 301 Pontiac and the 305 Chevy engine in the Trans Am. So let's take it for a quick test drive. Isn't this fabulous? Note, first of all, the beautiful formula steering wheel, and beautiful because it does not have an airbag for safety. In fact, there's no electronic crap in this car at all, which is one of the reasons that I love it so much. Pontiac tradition, or tradition for the Trans Am, is the engine turn dashboard. Other Pontiacs from the classic era also had this engine turning, which is sort of a machine aluminum look, including the GTO. But it's a real Trans Am signature feature, and if you were to compare this car with a same year Camaro, you'll find that the Camaro's interior is much, much blander and cheap looking. Now, I love Camaros, I've owned several, but the Trans Am's just got a much nicer interior. This particular car is really optioned out. It has, in addition to the power windows and the power door locks, it also has air conditioning, and it has the unusual for 1976 electric rear defrost. It's got the 8-track tape player. Pretty much the only option that this car didn't come with from the factory was the very rare rear console. And let's kind of motor on out of here and alrighty, Freddy. Ready, steady. That's the sound that makes the entire Persian Gulf stand up and cheer. You may be able to see from this vantage point, this camera's actually a little bit better than the cheesy one that I used to have, that the hood scoop on my particular car is functional. Back in 1976 from the factory, they were not functional. They were boarded up, but they're very easy to make functional all the way up through 1976 because it just has a block-off plate that can can be taken out with three screws or 3 rivets hold it in place. And you can now get a kit, and I've got an article on my site, epautos.com, that details this, that you can get that allows you to install a completely functional flapper door, and it can be made functional either of 2 ways. One is the way I've got it set up, which is just that it responds to vacuum. The door has very little tension on it, so as I accelerate, you can see that the door will open up and then close again as I back off the gas. I prefer that approach because it really makes the thing kind of just alive. It opens and closes almost as if the engine is breathing. The other method is more like what Pontiac had, and it only opens under wide open throttle, and it's got an electric solenoid that triggers it to flop open at 3/4 throttle and then close again when you back off the gas. And that's similar to the way Pontiac had it originally. Now, my particular car has been modified mechanically. You can probably tell by the way that it kind of accelerated better than a stock 76 Trans Am. It has a fairly modified 455 with ram air style exhaust manifolds. Pontiac was one of the manufacturers that actually offered a performance exhaust manifold from the factory. It's sort of like a cast iron header. And this engine has that. It's also got a fairly aggressive camshaft. And in addition to that, it's got a 4-speed overdrive automatic transmission. It's a 204R automatic. That's got a high stall torque converter and manual control valve body. So it shifts pretty aggressively too. But with the really steep overdrive gearing it's got, I'm going to show you here, it's going to get up into overdrive. Okay, now it just shifted into overdrive. You can see my speedometer indicates it's about 60 miles an hour, and my tach is only showing about 1500 RPMs. Now, that's nothing unusual for a modern car, but for a 70s era muscle car, particularly one that's got a 390 rear ring and pinion in the back, very aggressive ring and pinion, that's remarkable. This thing cruises like a modern car with the overdrive transmission, so it's a really effective mod that you can make that retains the character of the car, but also makes the car a whole lot more everyday drivable. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this, and look for more stuff like this up at epautos.com, the web's best libertarian gearhead site. I'll have a review up shortly of the 2018 Mini Countryman, along with a rant about the ethanol corn boondoggle. So look for that, and we'll catch up with you again soon, and thanks for viewing.